This morning, it came to my attention that my neighbor neglected to return my dryer laundry ball. This is unacceptable,
Holding unacceptable views.
and I will be invoking a crippling and brutal sanction against the people of 908.
To protect each other, to protect our frontline workers, to protect our elders, to protect our young people.
For 30 days, they will not be able to borrow any cream or sugar or butter.
It's important to underline.
I've only made one mistake ever. Last week, I left the setting on whites instead of the diverse and inclusive colors.
I want to welcome everybody tonight to John Julian. Welcome to the show.
Hey, Clyde. How's it going?
Good. Sorry, it's a little bit off. I tried adjusting it before, but hey, there we go. How are you?
Okay.
So this is my first time actually meeting and speaking with you. I've been watching your parodies for a good chunk of time, probably the past 2 years. Amazing work.
Thank you. Yeah, I've enjoyed your show too.
Oh, well, thanks
And
a lot.
yeah, thanks for having me on.
Absolutely. So I wanted to get to the so it's your Trudeau impersonations. I mean, this is what most people know you the best for. But you're a musician, and obviously you can see behind me. I'm a lover of music. This is my passion, and this is the reason why I built my studio. And I'm not showy about it because I don't have quite the talent that you do, sir. Because I've watched many of your performances and they're fantastic. But I wanted to ask you before we get into any of the politics Trudeau stuff, and maybe this is just for me, and because I'm bringing my children along this journey. What brought you to music, and what made you want to make a career out of that?
I guess I remember being a kid and my dad played jazz records all the time, and he played the jazz on the radio station. And I was the only kid out of 5 kids that liked it a lot. And he could see that. So he showed me how to play the clarinet for a while. And then I took more formal lessons on that and saxophone. But in my late teens, I really just loved piano more and more, to the point where I just dropped sax completely. And so I was a bit of a late bloomer on piano, but I still had some musical background, so that helped. And I guess, yeah, just listening to great artists. Classical was in there a little bit, and especially later on. And I just loved listening to the same album or the same songs over and over again. And I didn't really understand it at first, but somehow it made sense, right? You know, when you love something and you don't maybe understand it yet. And so it made me want to be part of that somehow, like not to be like for that big performer with a big ego and be famous necessarily. It wasn't about that. It was more just like, how can I get more of this, or how can I, and if you jump in it and actually play it, then you're at least somewhat getting closer to what makes it great, because now you're decoding it and part of it, right? So yeah,
I love it. That's such a great explainer, because this is something that I find myself doing a lot of, as you're describing it. And at work, I can't do this on the actual PAs at work where everybody would hear it, but I'll listen to the same song over and over and over again. If I just I'll find myself in love with a song. I'll find something. It doesn't have to be new, or it could be old.
Yeah.
But I just discover it, and I'm like, I love it so much. I'll like for an hour straight just loop the same song over and over again, because man, just the way you describe it, it's very much that for me. And
great.
I don't share a lot of my musical stuff because it's more of a personal journey for myself. Like I just it's rewarding when you're able to learn a new riff or learn something new. Not necessarily even write your own music, but just be able to mimic your the people that you look up to in music, and I find it fascinating. Your answer was just amazing. So you do this, you've done this professionally. I don't know, are you doing it professionally now? I know you had some run-ins during COVID.
Right. Well, let's see. It did slow down for everybody during COVID, and then I was canceled from some things, and I still don't know the full ramifications of that yet. I can kind of feel it, but you can't know everything, because in music, certain venues or agencies can just not call you or not get back to you, and they don't have to give a reason, right? So it's been slow, and there was a petition against me last year, and I know that they sent it to every musician they could and every venue they could in town, and obviously some musicians I know are on my side and they support me and they don't buy into that, but there's enough people that are scared and that don't want to be associated with drama or trouble or politics, so they've just kind of, it's slowed down a lot. So although I did, even after the petition though, Frankie's had me play, which is the big jazz club in Vancouver.
Oh, okay.
And it was sold out, so there's some presenters that are still having me and believing in me and stuff like that. And hopefully as the culture and the pendulum shifts and more of the, I believe that the woke people are kind of in the minority, but they see themselves as the big majority because the media and the government supports them, right?
Mm-hmm.
But there's actually all the common people of the world that are, I think there's way more of us, and we're just starting to speak out more, as you can see, right? Starting to be less afraid to speak out against this nonsense. So
I was just talking about this recently with some others privately, and it kind of dawned on me, this concept. You know how people they constantly tell you, we should just avoid talking about politics, and a lot of people feel this, like don't talk about politics. I came to a realization that it's actually only like right of center people that do that or say that, because all the wokies and all the people left of center, they talk about politics all they want, and really what it is it's other people, rational, reasonable people that are just trying to keep the peace, and they know that those people will lash out, and that they're the misbehaviors. They're the people that are completely irrational, and they're the reason why you can't talk about politics, because any other civilized people would generally just say, oh, I disagree with that. Okay, moving on, right?
Wow, that is so great. I never thought of that, and that I think is brilliant, and that's probably what's happening.
Yeah, it dawned on me, this concept, because all throughout the pandemic, it was the same. Like I didn't speak about it much with people because I wasn't sure what their point of view was. But I knew that if they were not on the same wavelength as me, they would freak out and have a fit. But if they were, if it was the other way around, and I wouldn't have a fit if they disagreed with me, right? And that's where I came to this realization. I was like, holy cow, is this really the situation that we're in?
Oh yeah, in the petition it said things like, imagine people wanting to stop me from playing music, just playing instrumental music tunes, because they thought I was a danger like with my political thinking, and that I was violent with words and homophobic and transphobic and racist. Okay, so that doesn't even make any sense. I've had more gay friends than most people I know because I've been in the arts and in classical and other reasons too. I devoted my life to studying jazz, which is invented by Black people. I mean, it's just feels ridiculous. It's a weird time to be in.
Well, do you know the opinion of the free trade agreement of the Weimar Republic that Beethoven held?
No, tell me about it.
Well, nobody knows. I don't think anybody knows, because it doesn't matter when it comes to music. And that's the whole point. Who cares? I mean, yeah, you have political views, but that's outside of the realm of what you do for a living, right? And I think the cancel culture has become this, right? Cancel culture has become No. Politics has to be all encompassing. It has to be your entire life. You can't just have political views and then also just be a good neighbor and a mechanic or a pianist. You know what I mean? You can't
Yeah,
have any of that.
that's right. And also, they would say, like the woke left would say, musicians shouldn't be political. He's too political or whatever. But if I was their political, then they're totally all
You
political.
should be more outspoken.
Oh yeah. Well, a lot of arts grants, government grants, associations and companies that you've heard of and stuff. Uh, a lot of their agenda is becoming increasingly about social justice and equity and all the typical things that we see more and more of. And it shouldn't be, right? It should be just about music.
Well, that's it, and it's
Or
everywhere. I mean, Taylor Swift is all over X right now. It's all over the media. I've largely been ignoring it. I don't know any of the details. I don't know anything about her hubby that plays a position. I know there's a photo of him arguing with some coach or something. I don't know
yeah.
any of the details. Do you know any of it?
I follow it a little bit. Yeah, that's kind of a newer thing, and I only saw the memes with the coach and the guy arguing.
Right. That's all I've seen. I don't know. So I don't know the
Yeah,
context. So I don't know what's being said there. But the funny thing, and where it's relevant to the conversation we're having, is that at the end of the day, who cares? She's a person who sings and dances. Like, she writes songs, sings and dances, and that if you enjoy that and that's what you consume her product for, what does it matter? Any of the other stuff, and the other guy, the football player, he's an athlete. He's there also for your enjoyment, for the thing that he does. Who cares what he thinks about anything else?
yeah. But although you have to admit that it seems like all the celebrities are aligned and not organically. On the same, they kind of push the vaccine or whatever the government wants to push. They're kind of in line with the elite. I find.
Well, I think that they were, because they found themselves out of work if they weren't. So the
Yeah,
more fervent they
yeah,
are on the thing at the time, the more likely they are to get another gig. You know what I mean? And
right.
you know what it's like, because working in it. And tell me, why don't you tell me about it? Because, like,
Yeah,
most of us are day job holders. Most of the people in the audience and most of us talking, myself including. I'm a day job holder. I work 9 to 5. What is it like being a musician? Like, you don't have, unless you're working for an orchestra or something like that, you don't have a solid thing going for it. How is that life?
yeah. Well, pre-COVID, I would teach at a couple different places, so there's always a bit of that, and maybe teach a bit at home, and then a lot of musicians are like this, right? At least in jazz and classical, they kind of do teaching as most of their income, and then as far as income performing, usually the money is going to come from more commercial venues, like let's say playing background at the Wedgwood Hotel or the Wall Center, which I've done, where you're just kind of playing background piano music or something, or playing for, let's say, pop music where you're doing an ABBA tribute, or like I'm going to be in a Doors tribute band next month, so I have to learn 20 tunes in a hurry, which is hard for me because I don't know that music very well.
Right.
And there's more money and stuff where it's really, really popular and you're part of it and you're sort of showing that. Or let's say a wedding band where where your band knows the top 100 songs of the last 50 years, 60 years, then that does pretty well because you can charge a lot. Takes a lot to get the band off the ground and market it, right? Obviously.
Well, and
But
those tunes are relatively easy tunes to play, right? Like, most of those were written by teenagers, the EAD over and over again kind of thing.
yeah, but however, for keyboard players, you got to know all those synth sounds and then get the different, and then have two
I never
keyboards.
considered that. I never considered that.
It's kind of it's in a way, it's the hardest for keyboard players because you have to learn all the Whitney Houston synth sounds and then go to that number quickly, and then have your other backup piano sound down here, and then whereas a drummer, not to say drumming's easy or any instrument's easy, I'm not saying that,
none are.
but just if you know the beat, you still got your sticks and the same drums. Or it's, pop piano, you got to switch sounds a lot. And
yeah, well, that's the one that I find the hardest, like, because I have a keyboard in the house, piano out here, and my daughter's playing piano. She loves it, absolutely loves it. But
right.
the keyboard has a bunch of different sounds, and as soon as you switch over to like organ, I don't even know what to do with it.
Yeah. So, what is your background in jazz or classical or?
So
pop?
I'm not a formal musician by any means. I'm a musical lover. But as a kid, I played the bagpipes in a pipe band when I was like 13 years old. I got into guitar all through my teenage years. Played that consistently through today. I love a lot of like folk music or rock music as well as flamenco. I don't know why I just fell in love with that as a kid. And then jazz became this big thing. Listening to jazz, David Brubeck and all the classics, right?
Sure.
And just love it, absolutely love it.
Great. And you're in Squamish, which is just down the highway.
Yeah, I mean, we need to jam sometime, but I'd be embarrassed to play with the likes of a brilliant musician like yourself. That would be you'd carry me, that's for sure. That's the way that would go.
I played in a couple pop bands. Actually, one of them fell apart because a trans drummer was auditioning and said, "Oh, sorry, but I'm not going to play with that dude." And then he pointed at one of my Trudeau videos and said I was transphobic or whatever.
What? Over that?
Yeah. And so the other band members looked at it and said, "Oh yeah, if we get bookings, then our human resources will, look John up or whatever." And so it kind of fell apart. Although people defended me, like a couple members quit because they were upset and they were on my side. So just division. Yeah, it's weird.
It's brutal, and it's where things don't need to be. And let's be glad that you have this other stuff to fall back on, because you have such tremendous talents elsewhere as well. With your channel. I just want to pull this up because for people that don't know, and I also want to give everybody the link for people who aren't following. Sorry.
No problem. Thanks.
Oh, of course. So if anybody who's not following, here's the channel, John Julian. You got a new one. Oh, that's from 6 months ago. I did watch that one. But John Julian on YouTube. Everybody get over there. I'll leave a link in the chat right now so everybody can go over and get subscribed. But let's just have a quick look at some of the impersonations here, because it cracks me right out. This one was actually difficult to watch because you do it actually so well.
Following the science and our...
Start from the beginning here.
Guys, I haven't had a chance to read this over. Just go? Okay. Bonjour tout le monde. On behalf of the government, I humbly extend my sincerest apologies for the deeply regrettable actions taken by us which have resulted in the undue suffering and harm to all Canadians. It is our moral and legal duty to take meaningful steps towards reconciliation. Okay. We now recognize that
so that's where it all shifts, right? At first you're like, wait a second, what? Is this for real? And then, of course, that's where the parody starts. And I want everybody to go over, check out the whole video for yourselves, because it's just amazing. And how did you figure out that you do such a good Trudeau? Where did that come from?
It was kind of by accident. Like my brother and I, my brother Gord, ever since we were kids, we would do voices of friends and family and teachers at school, or people in the Ukrainian Canadian community that we know. And And it was just for fun that we would do that. And occasionally he'd leave a message for me on, like, even recent years, right? He would just leave a message for me with a new voice that he's working on, like Bill Gates or whoever. And I would be like, Gord, that's amazing. You know, like he's brilliant. He does so many voices that are, you're going to hear more of him on my channel. But for some reason during COVID, Trudeau came out looking a little bit more like a dick, you know, and it just kind of caught my attention more, like his tone and the coldness.
Yeah.
And I thought, you know, I wonder if I could do this. Yeah, I said I probably can't do it, but at least I could write down some phrases that caught my attention, because he has a way of speaking. And if you can put those phrases together, it's kind of ridiculous, right? Like, let's face it, he's pretty unique, right?
Yeah.
And I thought, if I can kind of figure out those phrases and words, then I'm halfway there. So then I did my first video. I don't think it was that great, but a lot of people liked it. And so I even left messages for friends, and they cracked up. And I remember thinking, okay, well, if they're laughing a lot, well, maybe I should do a video for YouTube. And so I had my first video that did okay. But then I thought, I know I could do this better. So I was driving an Amazon van. That was my full-time job. Just, you know, I've had a full-time job in the last couple of years, just, you know, since COVID, basically, just to kind of, because I lost some music work and stuff.
Right.
And so I was delivering in Squamish quite often too.
Oh, okay.
And so there would be time in the van to sort of rehearse the words and the lines. So the laundry skit, which is my second video, which has 140,000 views or something, but that one, I wrote it out. It was like, you know, 5 pages long or something, and I just practiced it all week long, and it would take a minute and a half to get through. And I must have rehearsed it 100 times that week. And then I called James, my videographer friend, and met with him, and then we just filmed it, and that did pretty well. So that was like the first one that did really well. That's
amazing. It's spot on. It's bang on. Some of the mannerisms as well that Justin Trudeau has are just ridiculous when he's doing these press conferences. I noticed it right away when he was doing it. It feels like what he does is he looks at the back of the room, and then he looks at the exit over here, and then he looks at the exit over here, and then he looks at the back of the room again. And he's just he's like an oscillating fan, right?
Totally. Yeah, thanks for saying that, because someone else pointed that out, and then I said, okay, thank you for that tip, and I've been using that one a little bit more. Yeah,
it's just
and
so
I wrote
ridiculous.
I wrote down a few phrases just briefly just before this, because I knew I was coming on your show, and just classic stuff like, I mean, it's just random from my memory, right? And he's also lately, I don't know if you've noticed, but Justin Trudeau has been kind of more bold in his voice and kind of almost borderline yelling a bit.
Yeah.
I'll show you what I mean. So, we must remember who we are, and holding provinces accountable, and having a conversation with Mexican drug cartels to ensure that only the finest immigrants are allowed into our wonderful nation that we all love. We have to roll up our sleeves, and we are working to implement more trans people in our bricklaying jobs, and we need more Black people to operate heavy equipment at our construction sites.
That's it. Keep riffing with that. I wanna interview Justin Trudeau just briefly, if we can play that for just a moment.
Okay.
So if I was to interview Justin Trudeau, I don't know how I'd keep my cool around that guy, because well, I mean, just what he's done in Canada. But Justin Trudeau, good to finally sit with you for some questions that I've had for some time. So first question of the interview, I just wanted to ask, how is it that you stay so greasy? I'm a mechanic, and I even struggle with that.
Canadians want a leader who has great resolve, and a lubricant is always a good idea. Sometimes, as in your trade, you get a little black grease on your face. Well, I made a whole career out of that.
Sorry, keeping my composure here for the interview. Prime Minister Trudeau What was the point of the carbon tax rebrand? If the carbon tax is so great, why not just call it what it is, a carbon tax?
We've been working with the Liberal Party of Canada to make sure that our terminology is up to date. And if our carbon tax has been saving lives and even helps with male pregnancies, then we need to change it and upgrade the terminology.
Unbelievable, unbelievable. Oh, what's that? Hold on a second. Hold on a second. It sounds like we've got a call in. This is the first time probably for the show. There's a call in. Who's this on the line?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, I could hear you fine.
And thank you for having me, Clyde.
Is this early 2000s Jordan Peterson on the phone?
You're darn right, Bucko.
Well, welcome to the show. Thanks for joining. Let's get the visuals up on the screen. Jordan Peterson, early 2000s Jordan Peterson. Welcome to the show. Justin Trudeau, are you hearing Jordan just fine here?
Yes, I am.
Oh wow! Oh,
Thank you for having me, Clyde.
Yeah, absolutely. Jordan, did you have any questions for the leader of Canada, Prime Minister Justin Trudeau?
Oh man, I got a lot of questions. I think like a lot of Canadians, I got a lot of questions. This isn't going well, man.
No, absolutely, it's not.
We can't build a country overnight. This takes time, and we have to go from coast to coast to coast, and from Red River to Red River.
Well, I've been working as a clinical psychologist out of the University of Toronto, and this isn't going well. It's a bloody disaster.
Well, that's partly your fault for not using the right pronouns. I like to be called One Spirit, Two Face, and I refer to myself as Monsieur and Il. Sometimes El, but only when I'm in the mood and hanging out with drag queens.
Well, that's a bloody thing. So, you're a sexual deviant. Maybe you should focus on that.
Quite frankly, that sounds like hate speech coming from a misogynist and a trucker type person. And that is not who Canadians are.
Yeah, you've made my life living hell.
Well, I hope you're enjoying your social media retraining camp program, because I was the one that started that whole process. You need to learn how to post more cat videos and snapshots, Snapchat or whatever you call it, of your latest meals, and instead of your offensive tweets and insulting behavior.
You're a Marxist.
We can
early 2000s Jordan Peterson, thanks for calling into the show and speaking to the Prime Minister of Canada. Yeah, glad to have you. All right, getting back. Oh man, you killed me. I cracked. I was wondering if I could make it through that. All right. The chat's dying right now, and I'm dying from that. That of course is a good friend of mine. You may know him on Twitter as the amazing Zoltan, and he does a fantastic early 2000s Jordan Peterson. And
yeah, that was great.
Sorry to catch you off guard. It only would have worked if you didn't know it was happening. So
yeah,
I worked so hard
he's
to make
great.
that happen. Oh boy,
that was excellent. So he's American?
No, he's Canadian.
American?
He's also Canadian. And
okay.
He's actually going to be moving to the area, so we might actually all be able to do some work together in the future.
Cool. Yeah, for sure. We should do a skit sometime if you ever want to be in one. Like, I just call my friends sometimes to say a few lines, and I edit it all later to make it look good. But we just kind of throw a skit together, and even the day before, just get some lines together and.
Absolutely. I've got some fun ideas, because here's the thing. Like, what I do is not sketch comedy, but I love sketch comedy. In fact, when I was in high school, I took drama class. It wasn't Justin Trudeau
Oh.
teaching that one, but the thing that I loved the most was improv stuff, like just having fun, like what we were just doing here. And you're fantastic at it, by the way. But doing stuff like that is a lot of fun for me, but it's not the capacity of what I do for video content. And if I could be involved in any of that stuff, I would absolutely love to. So that's a big ticket on my to-do list, is getting together with you and doing some of that.
Yeah, for sure. Well, and it's great that you're comfortable in front of the camera. You know, you speak all the time publicly, so that helps too. So
Oh,
you
absolutely.
definitely do it. Mhm.
So what's the plan? What's the plans for the channel moving forward? Are you, because obviously Trudeau's not going to be around forever, and you probably want to be positioning yourself in a direction. Sketch comedy, is that, because I noticed your handle on X is John Sketch.
Oh, Stetch is my. It's probably more like
Sketch.
John Stetch.
I'm just dyslexic. That's what it is. I actually am.
Oh, no, it's okay. That's why I've been going by John Julian, because it's just easier for people. Because
That's so
people have
funny.
always made, people all my life have made mistakes. Like they call it stench, stretch. They misspell it. So yeah, I'm going more by my two given names, John Julian. But yeah, no, I'm thinking maybe less Trudeau eventually, obviously, and a bit of Polyev. I don't think Polyev's that funny. So even though I can sort of do his voice, it might not be as funny. And then maybe working on some new characters, like even fictitious characters, like this one guy I do called, I made up a name called Tristan Shiplak. And he sounds kind of like this. Hi, it's Tristan Shiplak from the Colleges of Psychologists of Ontario, of the world, of Canada. And I was on Clyde's show today, and I just want to say I just love Clyde. I think, even though he probably belongs more in the auto shop, fixing cars and things like that, but I just loved, that he just played a little bit of piano, and he tinkles the piano keys.
I love it. Very Martin Short-esque. I like that. Old style comedy is something that we don't see much of anymore. And one thing that I found that's kind of lacking in comedy is any sort of cleverness to it. I found, if you tune into Saturday Night Live or any of these sketch comedy shows anymore, it's who can be the most vulgar and get away with it. Like that seems to be the and I don't find it funny. Like, because there's a point where you've heard all the vulgarity and you're like, now what do you got? What is there?
Shock value, right?
Exactly. I mean, like Amy Schumer, I saw a clip of her on the Tonight Show and recently, and she's got nothing going for her except the shock value. And like I said, once the shock's worn off, what do you have?
Yeah, I know what you mean, because I just saw something that was kind of an older movie, and it even had a lot of that in it, and I still kind of liked it, but. Yeah, I know what you mean. Like you can still be funny and have it more subtle, but just take more time to craft it, and it doesn't have to have all the crudity or the shocking kind of over the top disgustingness, right?
Well, exactly, and sometimes just silliness is hilarious, and you don't see enough of that anymore. Like I'm a big fan of, like I said, Martin Short, as well as Steve Martin. Huge fan of him. And the stuff he put out back and really at the end of the day, or even drawing a blank on his name, the guy from the airplane movies. Why am I?
Oh yeah, Leslie Nielsen.
Leslie Nielsen, that's right.
Yeah,
this stuff is just fantastic. It's just silly.
Yeah,
like whatever happened to silly.
Oh yeah. One of my favorite lines is when he said, "I think we're gonna have to land the plane now," and then the cockpit people said, "All together?" No. He or Leslie said all together, and then they all said it together.
Yeah, just puns and funniness.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm a dad.
Yeah.
I've been a dad for about 10 years now, almost, and puns are a dad's best friend always, right?
Oh, sweet.
That's how we do our comedy. I wanted to get to a couple of these super chats that have popped up, because I know people have their own questions that they want to ask you. Sorry, let me just pull these up because they scrolled by while we were doing all that other stuff, and I wanted to get to this.
Sure.
Alta Peasley with a $27.99 super chat says, I'm sucky, Clyde. I love your show. My morning go-to. 5'9", honestly? Yeah, I'm 5'9". I'm 5'10" and have met 5'10" guys and had to look down on them in my eyes doing something wrong. Yeah, just keep bringing us honesty. Thank you. Yeah, I'm 5'9". I'm not 5'10". I'm not 5'8". I'm 5'9". I'm an honest 5'9". I'm probably 5'10" with the hat. That's where I'm at. Alta Peasley also saying for $6.99, Milady loves cats. You can watch the both because you have to watch ladies curling on mute. It can get a little loud. I also love curling. JS women are loud. Somehow curling almost beat me out as like the thing to watch this evening. Go figure. Go figure. It's a big thing. Chris B with the $2.79 super chat. Bravo, Trudeau, telling us Canucks what we think, and that really is the crux of Trudeau, is it not? At the end of the day, and I think that's a funny point that can go right into some like comical things. Is that's what he does. He doesn't tell you, like, what was it? He heard that Canadians don't want him anymore and don't want him as prime minister anymore. He was told this flat out in an interview, and he just says, "Yeah, well, I have a lot of work to do still." Like, what the hell kind of response is that? To, you're a democratically elected leader, and the majority want you out. Like, what the hell is that?
Oh yeah, well, he has these sort of automatic responses that can kind of operate as a stopgap, just for something difficult like that, and it sort of fills the space at least.
Oh, you think it's just a automaton sort of thing where he's just...
Oh yeah, he's got kind of an arsenal of phrases like that are just sort of general. They don't say much, but what else can you say if someone criticizes you, right? Well, we still have work to do.
I actually have the clip. I have a clip that I got to pull it up now because it nails that right on the head. Where was it? Trudeau. What was the name? He was talking about interest rates. Interest.
Yeah, there's so many.
There's the one. I found it right away. I knew I'd find it quick. But this
Wow.
is the clip. Just have a gander at this because this cracks me up.
We put forward measures to support Canadians right across the country so that we could stay healthy and so that we could have an economy to come back to as soon as the opportunity arose. We have been absolutely transparent every step of the way about these investments we're making for Canadians, about how we are supporting millions of Canadians, millions of people, thousands upon thousands of small businesses across this country get through this unprecedented time.
So that was his response, right? But that came right after this moment.
Regardless of what that figure is exactly, future governments are going to have to carry that debt. The servicing costs on that are going to be very high.
Sorry?
The servicing costs on the debt that you're going to have to carry, that you're adding to now, right?
Interest rates are at historic lows, Glenn.
Okay, but it's still a lot of money.
No.
It's still a lot of money.
No.
And you don't know where. Okay, but how are you going to pay for that? How are you going to?
So this is the point that I wanted to show you because like that totally caught him off guard. It pulled him out of focus. It pulled him out of where he was. And obviously, historically low interest rates. What are you talking about? I can borrow all the money in the world. We'll just pay it back at no extra cost. Yeah, right. Here we are now. But after that, watch his reset. It's just astonishing.
To pay for those costs in future years? Are you going to increase taxes or are you going to cut programs?
Okay. right now we're in an
Okay, I'm ready. I'm ready. Mr. DeVille, turn the lights on. Hit the clapping board. I'm ready for the scene now. Isn't that astonishing, though, to watch him in action? Like, he is just
Yes.
an automaton. He's not a real
Yeah.
person. It's crazy. Or what his
Totally.
forward projection of a person is. It's just absolutely fake across the board. And
Yeah.
you see all the cues once you start looking for it, and you know it.
Yeah, that's right. One of the nicest compliments I got was my friend Cynthia said, "Thanks for doing your Trudeau, because now I laugh when I see him because I'm watching for certain things that I've pointed out."
There's not enough people.
Yeah.
Like I don't think this hour is 22 minutes, or any of these people are doing any justice to, or any service to Trudeau, and just like how blatant it is. I mean, it's just, he's such a character. And not in a good way. I'm not saying that in a good way at all. He's absolutely a character, like borderline, probably sociopathic, of course. Maybe not borderline, full on, but it's absolutely insane.
Yep, and divisive. Like, just wow. I just, it hurts my heart. Like he'll say it in this kind of sweet way, as though it's masquerading as kindness and betterment for all, but deeply divisive. Or giving a gift to, I'm sure we talk about this probably all the time in your show. Like, he gives a gift to one small group to purposely to piss everyone else off and get them more divided.
Yeah, and yeah, absolutely. You're absolutely right about
that. Like, you have children, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So have you ever? Well, you probably don't ever do this, but if you give a gift to one, like an ice cream cone to one and not the other, on purpose.
Yeah, and don't say anything.
And then they fight and hate each other.
That's the worst. That's the worst.
Yeah.
I think that's actual, like, clinical narcissistic behavior. Like in the DSM-5, if you like go read the DSM, this diagnostic and statistical manual for disorders, that's listed in there of things that narcissists do, like some of the traits where they would use they'll use things like that, like gifts and whatnot, in order to pit people against each other for their own narcissistic pleasures, whatever it is.
Yeah. Like, do you ever think that when he announced a few days ago, he says, "And we're giving some F-16 fighter jets to Ukraine," like, I wonder if it's almost on purpose, just to demoralize us and to just make us more depressed and
yeah, piss us off even more. Like, it turns out we have like 4 days worth of munitions to protect ourselves. Oh, and we're just gonna give it away. Like, what a piece of work. What a piece of work that guy is. Like,
yeah.
And I think you're right about that.
Sorry, you got me on a roll, but
yeah.
Like, one of the things that drives me the most crazy is that he's always talking about democracy and how we are democracy, and yet he'll just announce things like a dictator, and he didn't consult us.
So that's the one that drove me the most nuts over the pandemic. That one drove me the most nuts, and I think it drives me the most nuts still, because we keep hearing him say that. And oh man, you struck a chord with me with that one.
Oh, and the other thing, and then I'll be quiet, but is he loves making a big deal about protests, peaceful protests in other faraway places, but as long as they're not here, against him.
Yeah, that's right.
You know what I mean? Yeah.
Well, I didn't invite you here to be quiet, but I do want to say, though, you struck a chord with me there, because that's absolutely what this government did. They order in council is a new word that I didn't know existed before COVID, or a phrase. I didn't know what an order in council was, and it's this concept that they can just make the rules up as they want, and then all you got to do is challenge them in court. But then the courts are in their back pocket, so when you challenge them in court, they just pull the order away, and then they declare it moot because it's no longer affecting you. And that is
right.
there's nothing more dictatorial than that concept as a whole. It is just absolutely disgusting
Yes.
that any judges or any judiciary would allow for that, and not just say
Yeah.
moot my ass, you know.
Yes.
Like, give me a
Yes.
break. You could just pull it back tomorrow, and then it's another year before the court date comes.
That's right. I noticed that too. It's horrible. Hey, I just have to take something out of the oven, but I can come back in a
Oh
minute.
yeah, absolutely,
Yep.
absolutely. Okay, we're in intermission. I'm gonna get to some of these questions. If any of these questions were referenced to John in this, well, I'll definitely redress them again. But let me hit refresh on this so we can get these chats up. I'm not sure where I was. Oliver Ruff with a $10 super chat. There's no message on it. Sorry, I didn't go back far enough. Penny D with a $5 super chat. Mr. Trudeau, I bought an EV and don't know what gender to. Hold on, is that not showing the whole thing? Apologies, everyone. Mr. Trudeau, I bought an EV and I don't know what gender to refer to it as. John definitely needs to hear that one. Holy cow, they're still rolling in. Okay, well, I'm going to go over these with John in the room because some of these chats are great. Some of them are focused at you, John. So we have here Penny D saying, Mr. Trudeau, I just bought an EV and I don't know what gender to refer to it as. Chris B with a $6.99 super chat says, remember her, a Canadian, a Canadianism? Remember her, a Canadianism is a Canadian, is a Canadian, or a Canadian is a Canadian is a Canadian. Tell that to the Coots 4 and the trucker convoy. Yeah, that's crazy. So that was a thing that he said. Oliver Ruff with a $10 super chat, nothing written there. Thank you so much. Thank you so very much. Robert McFallon with the $5 super chat. Rishi Sunak is just like Trudeau, but whiter. Rishi Sunak. I don't know who that is. Yutaka with the $5 super chat. JT is an assault style politician with full auto no's. Hey, comedian guy, please do a Philip champagne cheers, Clyde, and chat room. Comedian guy, John Julian, everybody needs to bring this up again. Get over and subscribe to the channel. John Julian's doing a bang up job every day with this, because Canadians need to laugh, and that's really at the end of the day what needs to happen, because there's so much to frustrate us all the time, and if you can't laugh at stuff, I mean, you won't get that release. A lot of what I do, especially these Friday podcasts, I end up laughing a lot during these, and it helps out so much with just all the stress. I mean, of my job as well. I have, as a mechanic, it's stressful, but living in Canada and just watching all this stuff play out and go down with this gaslighting, like we keep seeing, and you keep pointing out more of the nuances of. I love because you're an impersonator, you catch on all these little minute details of a person's character. It's amazing.
Well, he's easy to do. I mean, I'll be sad when he's gone.
Fair enough. Sorry if I'm interrupting dinner. Did you have something cooking in the oven? Is that what was going on there?
Oh, it's a chicken, so it still needs another half an hour. So that's okay. Perfect, because I just had to sort of treat it, and then.
Fair enough. Just going on with this, but yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to moving on and doing some of these skits together, because I mean, we'll talk about this after, and
sure, that would be great.
I'd love for you to stay on the line, but we're gonna bring the live stream to a close. I want to thank everybody for coming out to this amazing turnout as usual. So many great people and so many generous people. Thank you so much for all the super chats, donations. It helps out a lot. It helps so I can build more in the studio here, and hopefully have John in the studio next time. That would be amazing. have a real studio environment. It's difficult because well, people are so far away. For the most part, most of the people that I end up talking to are usually like in Eastern Canada, or if they're in the West, they're in Alberta. So glad to see another BC person on the stream. That's amazing. Or what is it? I prefer to call them BC people. Um, BC kind, maybe that's it.
Yeah.
So stick on the
That's
line.
right.
Thanks everybody for
Okay.
tuning in and watching the live stream. Thanks again, John Julian, for taking the time out of your day to come in and be a part of this. Everybody,
Thank you.
keep on trucking.